Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we will move the brain of HamCorp to a more permanent location and set up a P2P tunnel to the autocrafting building, where there will be a demonstration of a simple on-demand crafting system. Okay, I'm back. I have some stuff and I want to show off what I like to do for transporting channels around. And what I mean by that is, like I said before, each face of this controller provides 32 channels. And I said that it's not efficient to just cable it around the base, and that there's a better way to deal with it. And that better way is using P2P tunnels. So what a P2P tunnel is, P2P is point to point. There's a couple of different types. For example, there's ME, which is what we need. There's fluid, there's light, there's item. And what it does is it allows you to essentially teleport things across the base instantly, because that does not violate laws of physics. So for example, these are ME P2P tunnels, but let's pretend for the sake of explanation that they are light P2P tunnels. So if I have one of the P2P tunnels here, and then I have a cable that goes all the way across the base, and then another one here. Once you link these two tunnels using the advanced memory card, it will set one of these tunnels as an input and the other as an output. The input one will look at the light level of the block that it's connected to, and essentially turn this into a lamp, and then that same light level will be projected onto this block, and then light will just propagate as usual in Minecraft. Now you can do that with items, so you can send items in and then items will come out. We can do the same thing with fluids, but what we want to do is do this for ME, which is basically channels, which is applied energistics channels. So let me show you what the channels look like. I did make some smart cables so you can visualize this easier. Ideally, you would use a dense cable here because the regular one can only handle up to 8 channels. Each face is 32. So once the system comes online, you can see that there is a thin blue line going through this cable. And if I remove this ME drive, that blue line disappears. So that's one of the channels being visualized. Now we can use P2P tunnels to transport these channels from this controller across the base to another spot, because it essentially compresses down 32 channels of this main network into a single channel of a subnetwork. So let me set up a subnetwork. Second controller. These should not touch, because this is a separate network whose entire purpose is to transport channels around the base. And if you try to connect them, it breaks. So I have my P2P tunnel. I'm going to attach it to this main network controller. The P2P tunnel itself, I connect to this subnetwork controller. So the P2P tunnel belongs to this network, and it is going to transport channels from the main network elsewhere. This one just went offline because it ran out of power. It had power in the first place because I connected those to show that it doesn't work. You don't need a separate energy acceptor and all of that stuff to power this. You just need quartz fiber. Quartz fiber doesn't transport channels, so connecting two networks through quartz fiber does not break anything. So now both networks are online. The subnetwork is ready to transport channels from the main network to other places, so we can do that now. So I'm going to set up my ME drives here and put a P2P tunnel here, and then have a smart cable here. So right now, nothing happens because they're not linked. To link these, we need the advanced memory card. So this is the input tunnel. So I'm just going to name it test input. That's just for now. And then you can actually see the other tunnel at the other end, and you can click bind. And that binds test input in green to the yellow highlighted one, which is the output. That interface I found quite confusing at the beginning, so just play around with it. Eventually you'll figure it out. This ME drive, which has no direct physical connection to the original network, can be accessed by the original network. So I can start putting shit inside, like that. And it has a place to go because it went into this drive. Remember, this drive, in principle, is all the way across the base. And from this P2P tunnel output side, you can get 32 channels out here. But this whole transportation cable, there's only one channel through here. You can see the smart cable on the top, or also just visually, there's only one blue line going through here. These ones are covered so you can't see it, but yeah. So this is nice to do because it really allows you to save on materials. You don't need dense cables to transport 32 channels all around the base. You just need regular cables. You could even use like super cheap, where is it? You could even use the super cheap, well, I say super cheap, they're not that cheap, but you could even use the cheapest type of cables, which are the ME glass cables. These also transport eight channels, but there's no way to visualize it. These are functionally identical to the covered cables. They just look different. I found using subnets to be quite a weird thing to get used to at the beginning, but now it's something I just cannot live without. Like, it would be so much more inefficient to just directly transport channels around the base. You know, honestly, I kind of changed my mind. I don't want this space to be where my controllers go. I'm going to build out a new space underground, probably at the bottom of this maintenance tunnel, probably right here. I have moved the brain of HamCorp to the deep dark void, beyond the reach of man. Just kidding, I'm in the basement. I use black anti-blocks for this. It's kind of disorienting and a little nauseating to be in here, actually. Like, it's... Whoa. Okay, I have a little setup here. It's not the prettiest thing, but I think it's fine for now. So this is just going to make sure that it's everything's powered all the time. So I'm going to have benzene sent to this tank and then piped into 4 gas turbines. There's 2 hidden in the walls. And those all point to this energy acceptor. And I have this is going to be my main network on the right. It's going to wrap around this subnetwork core controller. And this is going to hopefully look like a brain when I'm done with it. So I'm not going to add any more P2P tunnels than I need, but this ME controller is going to control everything in the base. So I'm going to start laying down some cable. This I am going to use dense smart cable. Well, I should probably use dense covered cable. I haven't made any, but I do like to have one smart cable here just so I can see how many channels I'm using. I suppose that's true for all sides here. And I'll use the glass cables to actually power everything. So this can just be a branch. This doesn't use a channel, so that's nice. Let me quickly go make some dense covered cables. I'll probably need a lot if I want to send a dense cable through the base. I guess I don't need to use dense cables right now. It's not like I'm going to use 32 P2P channels just yet. I guess I can upgrade it as I go. So I'm just going to use regular covered cables for now. This one, I actually think I'm going to move it to the back here. Oh yeah, you can use a wrench or a pickaxe for everything here. So we do have to sacrifice one side of this controller for power. I mean, I guess that's technically not true, but I'm going to do it anyway. Just like that. Cool, everything's online. Now I do want to cover these up, and we can do those with the cable anchors. I think these recipes might be hidden in JEI or NEI. What is this? NEI? I don't know. But you can make cable facades out of pretty much any block and cable anchors. And these you can put on machines like covers. You can put them on pipes. You can put them on GregTech cables. And you can also put them on applied energistics cables. And you can hide everything. And it looks so nice. And it even goes, the cables go through it. So you can really hide it really well. So I'm going to set up one P2P connection here. I want to start automating autocrafting stuff. So that's what the first P2P tunnel is going to be. Oh, here's something to think about. These connect, but you actually don't want them to connect because then you're kind of limiting yourself on channels, because these now, instead of being able to handle 64 channels, these can only handle 32 channels. And you can just spray paint things to stop them from connecting. Uncolored cables or Fluix colored cables will connect to any color, but any colored cables will not connect to each other. As long as they're different colors, obviously. But yeah, same kind of problem here. This is a Fluix colored cable, so it connected and everything breaks. So we do want to change this as well. This also probably means I need more colors. I need to make more spray cans. Anyway, so this P2P tunnel, I'm going to name, with the memory card, I'm going to name it autocrafting unit 0. Oh, it shows you channels used. I actually didn't know that. That's nice. That's really cool. But anyway, so autocrafting unit 0 is going to be the first P2P tunnel that goes to the autocrafting building. I just have to set up the other end and then also connect it all with cables. And that is a lot of cables. So I'm going to spend some time making a lot of cables. And once I lay down this path through the base and cover it up, it's probably going to go through the ceiling. Oh yeah, I left this space on the left specifically for this. But once I connect everything to the autocrafting building and I have a P2P setup there, I can talk about what I'm going to do on that side. I made a bunch of cables, a little bit more than 2 stacks, 3 stacks even, and I've connected it all up. So there's a line that goes directly from the brain through the maintenance tunnels all the way to the autocrafting building, which is over there. I also made a bunch of elevators and factory blocks so I can go up and down really fast instead of using ladders. So from now on, anytime you see a P2P tunnel in a building, just assume that I've built a covered cable line like this in the maintenance tunnels, because that's basically what I'm going to do. If I don't do it, I'll probably show off why, if there's ever a reason to not do this. I am going to hide all of these with cable facades pretty soon, and one thing that's nice about the network tool is if you shift right click and you click this button, it makes it so that while the network tool is in your hotbar, you can see through facades. But okay, so I've set up this line. Let's go to the other end and set up a P2P tunnel. Here's the output tunnel. Now we can link it. Now we do need to bind this to the other side. I could go there and bind it, or I could do it from here, but I just need to be careful about which mode I'm using. Currently, it's set to bind... Oh my, let me kill this thing really quick, hold on. Currently, it's set to bind to output, which means it will set this to be the output, but we want this one to actually be the input. So we can change the mode to bind to input and then click bind. And now, the one that we've selected in green is the output, as it says here under type, and then the one in yellow, which is the connected side, is the input. So now we have access to 32 channels from this P2P tunnel. I'm going to move these cables actually. Now to hook up your machines, there are a couple of different ways to do this. So let's take a bending machine, for example. I'm going to put the wires in the floor because I can hide them with the cable anchors now, or the facades. Okay, we have a bending machine, program circuit 1. Now, how do we teach our applied energistics system to autocraft? Well, actually, I'm now realizing that this is a little too soon. I need to make something first before I can actually teach any autocrafting. I need to make some crafting units, optionally a crafting monitor, but I am going to make one because it's just cool, and a 1K crafting storage. Ideally, I would also make some crafting co-processing units, but for now, I'm just going to skip these. Now these crafting CPUs act as what is actually a brain, I guess. You need these to do any kind of autocrafting and also to use any recipes that you teach the system. So I'm just going to set it up here for now, but I do want to move them to a better spot at some point. This allows us to request 1 craft. It does use a channel. This has gone up to 2, so that's something to keep in mind. Okay, now that that little detour is done, we can actually do some autocrafting programming, basically, is what it feels like in my brain. It tickles the same neurons as programming. But you will need a ME interface for a simple autocrafting setup. So I've got my ME interface. This is the block version. I'm going to turn it into the cover version. You can convert between these two for free. You'll probably need a lot of these. So just make like a stack when you when you get a chance. But for now, I have 1. Now, if you right-click the interface, there's a bunch of stuff. Most of it is not important for right now. What we care about is just these slots at the bottom. These are where the patterns go. And a pattern is basically a recipe that's encoded into an item, and then you can put the item in here. So let's go make some patterns. I'll just make 1 for now, maybe titanium plates. But how do we actually do this? For that, we need an ME pattern terminal, which I have here. That needs to be connected to the ME network. I'm going to put it here for now, but I am going to make a control room at some point. So on the top, we have our storage, same as before. There's nothing in our system, so there's nothing there. And on the bottom, there is what appears to be a crafting grid. I need to make some blank patterns first. Let me go do that. There is also a quest to make 16 of them, so I'm just going to make 16 of them. Now I can put these in the pattern terminal. And there are two types of patterns we can encode. So the first one is the kind of pattern you would do in a crafting table. So for example, this piston recipe, for example, would be done in a crafting table. So you can load up the recipe into this interface and then encode the pattern using this down arrow button. But this isn't the one we want to use because this isn't a crafting table. The crafting table recipes actually require a different machine called a molecular assembler. This isn't one we've made before. It's an applied energistics machine, and it costs an EV assembling machine to make. Anyway, that's not relevant for right now. What we want to do is change this to a processing pattern. These are done, there's a furnace icon, but it's any machine that you send items into and then items come out. For example, titanium plates in a bending machine. So you can load up that recipe here. One titanium ingot goes in, one titanium ingot comes out. You can double the pattern here that basically multiplies everything by 2 if you want to craft in a batch, and you do. In GregTech New Horizons, you do want to craft in batches. So I'm going to do half a stack at a time. Actually, I don't have enough titanium for that. So let me do a different, let me do aluminium, half a stack at a time, encode the pattern. And now we have an encoded pattern that creates 32 aluminum plates with 32 aluminum ingots. I can put it into this interface. And now the system knows how to make aluminum plates. What we've done is we've taught the system that if it sends 32 aluminum ingots through this interface, it can at some point expect 32 aluminum plates to re-enter the system from anywhere. And that's one thing that's really nice about applied energistics over logistics pipes. It doesn't matter where the outputs are. In logistics pipes, you do need to tell the system where the output is, or it will intrinsically assume that it's going to be in the same place. And if it doesn't come from that same place, things will break. But here, that's not the case. So why don't we try, well, we need to put some storage in. Let me grab those drives. So let's chuck some aluminum ingots into the terminal. Now they're stored in the drive. And we can request 32 aluminum plates. We can request 1, and it's going to make 32. Oh, it even tells you a percentage of your storage that's used. That's cool. I think that's new. I've never seen that before. Oh, I just noticed it says no crafting CPUs are available. I think I know why. Yeah, I made a mistake here. So this crafting CPU is currently connected to the subnet. Remember, this is the main network. This is what the machines upstairs are actually connected to. This is connected to the subnetwork. So this is actually in the wrong place. So I'm just going to put it here for now. Obviously, this is a dumb spot to put it, but this is just to demonstrate the autocrafting. Okay, now if we request an aluminum plate, it will try to craft 32 because the batch size was 32, and you can just click start. You can click this hammer icon for the crafting status. Nothing's happening. The machine's not working because we forgot to allow input from output side because the output is facing the back here. So we made the plates. Don't forget to item auto output. An interface is literally an interface. So any items you, for fuck's sake. So any items you pipe into it will get sent straight to storage. And just like logistics pipes, the more patterns you teach the system, the more it can do by itself. And you can also do fluid crafting, but to do that you need a dual interface. This is gated behind an EV assembler, because you need Lapotron crystals to make these. So I guess that's one of our next goals. But for now, I'm going to start making some more applied energistics parts and connecting up different parts of the base. And I'm also going to make a few more bending machines because I want to show what I want to do to parallelize this. Right now, it's only using one bending machine. And naively, you could put in another bending machine with another interface with the same pattern. And there's a better way to do that. So let me make a couple of bending machines and let me prepare for that. And also start building up some infrastructure, and I will see you when I have something interesting. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will show a simple method of parallelization and also craft our first molecular assembler. Our long-term goal is to fully migrate from logistics pipes to applied energistics. If you have suggestions for things to show in future training, please let us know in the HamCorp Discord. See you next time.